Let me guess. You've been told your whole life that you feel too much, that you take things way too personally, that you just need to grow a thicker skin. You've probably spent years, maybe even decades, feeling like your sensitivity was some kind of flaw you had to apologize for. Well, today, we're going to flip that entire story on its head. Sound familiar? Yeah. This phrase, or, some version of it, has probably been ringing in your ears forever. It's the go-to diagnosis for anyone who experiences the world with a little more intensity. But here's the thing. That diagnosis is based on a massive misunderstanding of what's actually going on. So let me be as clear as I possibly can be. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not weak, you are not broken, and you are definitely not a mistake. The way you process the world isn't a flaw that needs to be fixed. What if we looked at this from a completely different angle? Instead of seeing a defect, what if we see a design? What if that sensitivity is actually a superpower, a finely tuned system that we're going to call being a super sensor? Okay, so this isn't just about having a certain personality type or being a little quirky. This is rooted in your biology. We're talking about the actual hardware in your brain, and the science shows it's operating on a completely different level. Here's the best way I can explain it. Think of it like this. Most people experience the world in, say, 720p standard definition. It's efficient, it gets the job done. But your brain? Oh no, your brain is capturing everything in ultra-high definition 8K. Every little detail, every subtle emotional shift, every nuance in the room. And you're not alone in this, but you are in the minority. It turns out research shows that about 20% of the population is wired this way. Your brain processes information way more deeply than the other 80%. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just different. So, what does this 8K processing actually mean when we look at the neuroscience? Well, scientists have pinpointed 3 specific, let's call them upgrades, in your neural hardware that explain why life can feel so incredibly intense. First up is something called low latent inhibition. Now, most brains are designed to filter out like 90% of what's coming in. The hum of the refrigerator, the texture of the wall, it's all just background noise. But your brain? It treats almost everything as relevant. This is why you can get overwhelmed so easily, but it's also why you notice the subtle beauty and the brilliant ideas that everyone else just walks right past. Second, you've got a supercharged empathy engine. Your mirror neurons, those are the brain cells that help us feel for other people. They're basically in overdrive. So when your friend is feeling sad, you don't just understand it. Your brain literally simulates their emotional state. You feel their sadness in your own body. It's like being an emotional sponge. And third is depth of processing. And this is a big one if you've ever been told you overthink things. The truth is, you're not overthinking, you're thoroughly thinking. While other people are just reacting to the surface, your brain is running these complex simulations, connecting this exact moment to a dozen past memories and projecting a dozen future outcomes. That pause you take before you act, that's not a bug, it's a feature, it's high-level computation. Now, I know, this can all sound pretty exhausting. So a fair question is, if this trait makes life so tough, why would evolution even keep it around? Why didn't natural selection just phase it out? Well, the answer is simple. The tribe needed you. Think about it. In ancient tribes, you had the warriors. That's the 80%. They were bold, action-oriented, crucial for hunting and fighting. But a tribe made of only warriors would be reckless, right? They needed the royal advisors, the 20%. That's you, the perceptive, deliberative ones who could sense danger long before it arrived. The royal advisor's role was absolutely critical for survival. You were the one who noticed that tiny shift in the wind that meant a storm was coming. You were the one who could read the micro-expressions on a stranger's face and just know something was off. Your sensitivity wasn't a liability. It was the tribe's early warning system. Of course, having this high-performance radar comes at a cost. In our loud, fast-paced modern world that's pretty much built for warriors, it's so easy to feel out of place. It's easy to hit your processing limits way faster than everybody else. So when you suddenly need to bail on a party and go sit in a quiet, dark room, it's not you being overly dramatic. Think of your brain like a computer. You've been processing so much 8K data all day that your RAM is just full. Your whole system has overheated, and it needs a reboot. It's a biological fact. There's this beautiful metaphor that researchers use for this. They say most people are like dandelions. They're resilient. They can grow pretty much anywhere, in a beautiful garden or through a crack in the concrete. But you're an orchid. In a harsh, toxic, or just overly stimulating environment, you're going to struggle and wither way more than the dandelions. For years, you've probably blamed yourself for not being a dandelion, but here's the most incredible part. A concept called vantage sensitivity. When an orchid is put in the right environment, a supportive greenhouse with just the right care, it doesn't just survive. It blooms with a complexity and beauty that a dandelion could never dream of. You don't need to toughen up. You need to find your greenhouse. So, what do we do with all this? How do you actually live with this biological gift in a world that, let's be honest, often doesn't get it? It starts with a new mandate for yourself. So here it is, your new mandate. First, stop trying to change. You cannot rewire your fundamental hardware, and you shouldn't want to. Second, protect this gift. In a world that seems to value being numb, your ability to feel deeply is needed more than ever. And third, build your boundaries. Honor your need for quiet, for downtime, for people and places that feel like a greenhouse, not a concrete sidewalk. So the next time you hear those old words, just take a deep breath and remember what's actually true. You are not defective. You are not broken. You are simply seeing the world in a resolution that most people can't even imagine. And that leaves us with the final thought. In our often disconnected, numb sort of world, what is the real power of being able to perceive everything with such depth, clarity, and empathy? Your ability to feel isn't a burden. It might just be the very thing we need most.